Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions, where the ugliest truths are no longer hidden. Let me ask you something. Have you ever come home, stepped over your own welcome mat, and felt like a stranger in your own life? Because that's exactly what happened to me yesterday morning. She left the night before for what she said was a casual birthday thing. She didn't say it was for her ex. She didn't mention the dress, or the perfume I hadn't smelled since our honeymoon, or the fact she left without her wedding ring. She just said, "Don't worry, I'll be home late. Don't wait up." So I didn't. Instead, I cleaned the kitchen, vacuumed the hallway, reheated dinner for one, and tried not to lose my mind. When I woke up on the couch the next morning, the sun was already high. The silence in the house was deafening. My heart sank the moment I saw her side of the bed still untouched. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the half-drunk coffee on the counter, still warm, and the pair of unfamiliar sunglasses lying next to it. I froze. It was like my body disconnected from my brain. I didn't hear the door creak open, but I heard her heels click against the tiles. She was humming like nothing was wrong, like the last 12 hours hadn't just pulled the rug out from under my marriage. She walked in, tossed her purse on the chair, and blinked at me like I was the one trespassing. "Oh," she said, actually startled. "You're up." I didn't answer. She followed my gaze to the sunglasses, and that's when her face changed. Not because she got caught, but because she didn't expect me to be standing there. She didn't expect the silence, or what I was about to say, and if she thought spending the night at her ex's party was going to hurt me, she had no idea what kind of morning she was about to walk into. She froze in the doorway, her hand still hovering in the air like she was reaching for a lie she hadn't prepared yet. I stood completely still, one hand resting on the back of the chair, the other holding her forgotten sunglasses. The silence between us could have cracked glass. She blinked, once, then again, and finally let out this soft, pathetic laugh, the kind people make when they're cornered but still think charm might save them. "Oh, those aren't mine," she said, too fast, too casually. I tilted my head. "Then whose are they?" She looked away, scratched her arm, and started walking past me like we weren't standing in the thickest tension of our marriage. Probably Brian's. I must have grabbed the wrong pair by mistake. God, his girlfriend was so drunk. I cut her off. "You turned off your location. Again." She stopped mid-stride, her back to me, shoulders tight. "Because you obsess over it." I didn't want to be tracked like a child. "No," I said slowly. "You didn't want me to know." She turned, arms folded now, chin up like a soldier. "Are you seriously going to start this at 7 in the morning? I already started it 6 hours ago, when you didn't come home." Her lips parted, maybe for an excuse, maybe for an apology, but neither came. Instead, she walked to the sink, poured herself a glass of water, and stared out the window like the answer was somewhere in the trees. I leaned against the table and asked what I'd been swallowing all night. "Did you sleep with him?" She didn't answer. She just kept sipping her water, her hand trembling ever so slightly, until she finally said, "I don't owe you that answer right now." I laughed. Actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was surreal. She disappears for the night to her ex's house, waltzes in at sunrise, and tells me what I'm not owed. So I stood up, walked past her, and opened the hallway closet. She turned just in time to see me pull out the suitcase I packed during the night. Not with her things, but with mine. "Where are you going?" she asked, almost annoyed. "I don't know," I said, zipping it shut. "But I'm not going to be here when your lies finally catch up to you." And with that, I walked out. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. I didn't go far. That might sound weak, but I wasn't thinking clearly. I checked into a motel 6 miles from home. One of those off-brand places with flickering hallway lights and vending machines that only take quarters. I didn't bring much, just clothes for a couple of days, my work laptop, and my toothbrush. But what I left behind, that was heavier. The house, the silence, the question I still didn't have an answer to. Did she sleep with him? Or worse, did she want me to think she did? I sat on the edge of that motel bed, staring at my phone for hours. She didn't call. She didn't text. Not even a "where are you?" Nothing. The woman I shared a mortgage and a life with just disappeared into the background like I never existed. Around noon the next day, I drove back. Not to talk. Just to grab a few things I forgot. Or maybe, deep down, I was hoping to catch her in something. I told myself I didn't care what, a lie, a phone call, maybe even him still there. Something that would make it easier to hate her. Something that would justify the pain sitting in my chest like a concrete block. When I stepped inside, the air felt colder than usual. The curtains were still drawn, but the TV was on, muted, looping some home renovation show. The same scene replaying. Over and over. She wasn't in the living room. I didn't call her name. I walked straight to the bedroom, grabbed the charger I came for, then stopped. Her purse was on the dresser, wide open. Not rifled through. Not hidden. Just sitting there. As if it was waiting for me. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. Inside, next to her wallet and gum, was a receipt. Not for gas. Not for food. It was from a boutique hotel across town. Timestamped for 1:26 a.m. Room 402. One guest. One night. I sank onto the edge of the bed, holding that little slip of paper like it was radioactive. She didn't stay at Brian's house. She went somewhere else. After. Or instead. Or with him. I didn't know which. But she'd lied. And that changed everything. Then I noticed something else. Her wedding ring, the one she didn't wear to the party, was sitting in the bottom of the purse. Not lost. Not forgotten. Just placed there. Intentionally. That's when I realized. She never expected me to look. She expected me to wait. To sulk. To swallow it. Like always. She still thought I was the old version of me. But I was done playing quiet. I didn't even hear her car pull up. But I felt it. That shift in the air. That tightening in my gut. Like a storm crawling over the horizon. I didn't want to be there when she walked in. But I also wasn't done. Not yet. I stood in the bedroom, holding her wedding ring in my hand like it was some cursed artifact. It didn't sparkle anymore. Felt used. Like it had been taken off too many times by someone who forgot what it meant. Could have waited. Confronted her. Demanded answers. But what would she do? Cry? Lie? Blame me? I didn't want another performance. I wanted truth. Something raw. Something that would make all this pain make sense. So I left the ring on the kitchen table. Not just dropped there, but placed neatly in the center of a small yellow post-it. I wrote one sentence. Room 402 isn't our home. That's it. No signature. No accusations. No begging. I wanted her to read it and know that I knew. That the version of me who used to quietly fold her laundry and pretend everything was fine was gone. I walked out without slamming the door. Drove around for 2 hours with no destination. I ended up back at the motel, sat on the bed, and stared at the wall like it might open up and give me a different life. Around 4:30 p.m. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. No text. Just a call. I answered, stupidly hoping it was someone telling me this was all some misunderstanding. Instead, a woman's voice said, "Hi, is this Lyle?" Her tone was hesitant, almost guilty. "Yes, this is Carrie. I'm, Brian's girlfriend." I froze. I didn't speak, just listened. "I got your number from his phone," she continued. "You don't know me, but I think we should talk. About last night. About your wife." My heart stopped. She was calling me. Not to apologize. Not to gossip. To warn me. Carrie sounded nervous. Not dramatic, not angry, nervous. Like she was still trying to decide whether telling me the truth was worth what it might cost her. I stayed quiet. Not because I didn't have questions, but because I wanted her to keep talking without shutting down. She finally said, "I didn't know how to reach you, but after what happened last night, I couldn't stay quiet. Your wife, Mallory, she wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't even on the guest list." My stomach tightened. Then why was she there? There was a pause. I could hear her breath catch. She called Brian around 11. Said she was in the area and needed to talk. He didn't think much of it. They've always been flirty, and he's too stupid to see when he's being used. She showed up in that blue dress like she owned the place, and they disappeared upstairs not even 20 minutes after she got there. I swallowed hard, pressing the phone tighter to my ear. So she stayed at his place? No, Carrie said quickly. That's the thing. I left early, I couldn't stand it. But this morning I went through his texts. There was a hotel confirmation, a rideshare receipt. Your wife didn't stay with Brian. She booked a room. He met her there later. I felt the world tilt under me. So it wasn't just an impulsive betrayal. It was planned, calculated, carried out in secret. Carrie kept going, almost whispering. I know it's not my place, but I thought you should know. I've been in your shoes, Lyle. It's a horrible feeling. And if it were me, I'd want someone to tell me the truth. I wanted to thank her. I wanted to scream. I wanted to drop the phone and pretend none of this was happening. But all I said was, did she say anything about me? Carrie sighed. She said you'd get over it. That you're used to being second. That's why I'm calling. You don't deserve that. That sentence broke something in me. Not because it was cruel, but because it was exactly what I'd feared she thought of me for years. That I was the backup, the fallback, the safe, silent plan B. Carrie ended the call by saying, I'm sorry. I know this doesn't fix anything. Just take care of yourself, okay? I sat there for an hour after the call ended, still holding the phone like it might start bleeding. My wife wasn't home, but her lies were, and I wasn't finished yet. I didn't sleep that night. After Carrie's call, my thoughts spiraled into places darker than I want to admit. I kept replaying the things she said. Not just the cheating, I'd already suspected that, but the casual cruelty of it. You're used to being second. That line echoed in my head like a taunt. It wasn't just betrayal. It was dismissal. She didn't even think I'd fight back. And that's when the idea hit me. It wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was something else, cold, quiet clarity. If she wanted to treat our marriage like a game, then I'd stop playing by her rules. I'd stop waiting for honesty and start pulling it from the walls if I had to. So I went back to the house the next morning. She wasn't home again, probably off spinning some new story. But that gave me time. I pulled out an old security cam we'd used during a short-lived dog-sitting business she started 3 years ago. Tiny thing, practically invisible when mounted behind the bookshelf in the hallway. I set it up facing the front door and synced it to my phone. No sound, just motion-triggered video. Enough to see who came in when and if she brought someone with her. I didn't feel good doing it, but I didn't feel guilty either. She made the rules. I was just finally listening. That afternoon, I went back to the motel. Kept checking the feed every hour like a nervous wreck. Nothing. Nothing. Then movement. Around 6:12 p.m. She walked in. Alone. I watched her toss her keys, kick off her shoes, and stare at the post-it I'd left. The camera couldn't capture her face clearly, but her body language said enough. She didn't look surprised. She looked frustrated, like I'd ruined something. Then she did something strange. She pulled out her phone, paced for a while, then left again after just 7 minutes. Drove off in a rush, and I sat there, staring at that 7-minute window like it held a code I couldn't crack. What was she expecting? Who was she calling? And why leave so quickly? The next morning I had my answer. The camera triggered again at 2:03 a.m. And this time she didn't come home alone. I stared at my phone screen in the dim motel room. The glow of the security feed flickering like a horror movie paused mid-scene. At exactly 2:03 a.m., the front door opened. She stepped in, quietly, like a thief in her own house. But it wasn't her alone. A tall man followed right behind her. No kiss, no hand-holding, just a silent understanding in the way they moved. He looked older, confident. Not Brian, not anyone I recognized. I froze the footage, zoomed in, still no good. His face was mostly turned, but his body language told me everything I needed to know. He wasn't new to the house. He didn't hesitate when she walked down the hallway, just followed her straight toward the bedroom. The image burned into my brain. And suddenly I wasn't just betrayed. I was being erased. She wasn't hiding her affair anymore. She was replacing me in real time. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. At 8 a.m., I drove to the house again, parked down the block, and waited. 2 hours later, the same man walked out the front door like he belonged there. Calm, polished, wearing sunglasses despite the cloudy sky. He got into a black sedan and drove off without a glance back. That was the moment something inside me snapped. Not out of fury, but out of clarity. This wasn't about love anymore. This wasn't about working through things or forgiveness. It was about dignity, about truth. And if she wasn't going to tell it, I would. I walked straight into the house. She was in the kitchen, wearing one of my shirts like it meant something. She didn't even flinch when she saw me. She just said, "Didn't expect you back this early." I set my phone on the counter and played the video. No words, just 42 seconds of security footage where everything she tried to hide walked through our front door. Her face didn't crumble. She didn't cry. She just stared, then said, "So you're spying on me now?" I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "No, I'm watching what's mine being walked over." And then I turned and left. But I wasn't finished. Not yet. I didn't go back to the motel. I didn't need to. Something shifted in me after I left that house. For the first time in what felt like years, I wasn't walking away broken. I was walking away awake. There was no dramatic confrontation, no screaming match, no begging. Just the truth laid bare. She had made her choices. Now it was my turn. I took the rest of the day off work and drove to a small town 2 hours away. A quiet place I remembered from a weekend trip years ago. I rented a cabin. 1 room, a creaky deck, and nothing but silence and pine trees. And for once, the silence wasn't heavy. It was mine. Over the next few days, something strange happened. I started breathing again. I stopped checking the camera feed. I stopped hoping for her to call. I sat by the lake. I ate without thinking of who wasn't at the table. I remembered who I was before I became a shadow in my own life. And then came the call from her. I let it ring. Then I turned the phone off. Because I wasn't looking for an apology. I wasn't waiting for regret. I wasn't second anymore. Not in her world. Not in mine. I had finally chosen myself. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. She didn't fight it. No dramatic pleas or courtroom speeches. Just paperwork. Clean and simple. I heard she moved in with the man from the video. I didn't care. He was inheriting a mask, not a woman. As for me, I kept the cabin. I still go there on weekends. Sometimes I bring a sketchpad. Sometimes I just watch the water. And slowly, life started feeling like life again. Not survival. The past still whispers, but it no longer controls the volume. And that, to me, is freedom. Thanks for watching this story on Reddit Confessions, where the quiet ones finally speak up. If you made it this far, tell us in the comments. Which moment in this story shocked you the most? Was it the phone call from Carrie? The hotel receipt? The man in the middle of the night? Let's talk about it below. And remember, no matter how messy the truth gets, choosing yourself is never the wrong ending.